Now, even as polling is currently underway in Sri Lanka, we have news coming in that gunmen have opened fire on a convoy of voters who were being transported to the polling booths. Remember, this is happening just months after the Easter bombings that plagued Sri Lanka in the month of March. There are very few details at the moment that are available about this ambush, but the police have confirmed that there are no casualties so far. Security has been tightened across the island nation in anticipation of any possible disruptions. More than 60,000 police personnel have been deployed across the country. We have to wait and see, of course, as to whether the attack will have any impact on the voter turnout as the day progresses. We will keep bringing to you more details, but for now, this is the latest that we are catching as the polling is currently underway. There's news coming in that gunmen have opened fire on a convoy of voters who were being transported to the polling booths. It's of course important to note that this is happening just months after there was already a tight security situation faced by Sri Lanka, which also witnessed these Easter bombings. Now, for now, there have been no casualties, and we will keep updating you with more details as and when they pour in about these gunmen and if there are any casualties. For now, let's also go across to our correspondent Zulfiq Farzan, who's joining us live from Sri Lanka at the moment. Let's try to get in from some perspective from Zulfiq on these elections. Zulfiq, a very warm welcome to you. Now that Sri Lanka is all set to cast its vote today, give us the latest on the voter turnout and the security situation at ground zero, since we're just picking in from our sources about gunmen opening fire at the voters. But how is the security situation overall?
Well, good morning. Voting commenced at around 7 in the morning, and since morning we've seen a large crowd making their way towards all the polling stations across the country. There are almost 12,000, just over 12,000 polling centers across the country for 22 electoral areas. Now, since morning, our island-wide correspondents have been reporting to us that a large number of people are making their way to the polls. And in addition to that, just a short while ago, I had the opportunity of speaking to the spokesperson of Sri Lanka Police, SSP Wion, who confirmed that more than 61,000 people, 61,000 police officers have been deployed for security across all these polling stations. And in the evening, when the counting begins, in addition to the existing police security curtain, a convoy, a contingent of police special task force will be deployed at all areas in the counting centers that are going to take place. Now, in addition to that, we've also got reports that election officials are very strict in what they're doing at the polling centers, and the numbers are growing as we speak because the National Elections Commission, speaking to the network that I represent, News First, said that it is important for all the voters to ensure that they at least make their way to the polling centers before 2:30 in the afternoon. The reason why he says is because once polling closes at approximately 5 p.m. on the dot, they will be closing the doors, and it does not matter if anyone remains in line. At 5 p.m., voting would close. So he stressed before 2:30, it's wise for the general public to come in and cast their votes, and also stressed that it is important for them to bring in their valid identification documents. And another reason why he said that the time was extended, because people would take time to go through the poll card, which has a record 35 candidates in it. This is the first time that we're having a record 35 candidates in a presidential election. And in addition to that, the cost of the election, according to Mahinda Deshapriya, the chairman of the National Elections Commission, was estimated to be around 4.5 billion Sri Lankan rupees. But however, now with the increase in a number of candidates and the other preparations that have to be made, that figure could possibly top more than 7 billion Sri Lankan rupees.
All right. So clearly, Zulfiq, this is an election which is unprecedented in many ways. Also, it's a make or break election for Sri Lanka. What are the issues at stake, considering the polls are happening after last year's constitutional crisis and this year's Easter bombings?
That's right. Now, this election is indeed going to go down in history as one of the most important elections in Sri Lanka, because we have two major camps, and also we have the alternative camp led by Anurakumar Dissanayake, who is also contesting for the presidential election, and the former army commander, retired General Mahesh Senanayake, is also contesting for the elections. So with all these candidates coming in, the main issues that everyone is highlighting is the economy, national security, and also polarized ideas within the communities. There were also reports of various incidents of fake news being spread across certain platforms, especially across social media. Now, as we spoke to Mahinda Deshapur, the chairman of the National Elections Commission, he said, look, we cannot control social media because it's someone's personal right to speech. So those kind of incidents will have to be taken care of by the people who promote those kind of ideologies themselves.
All right, Zulfiq, considering in 2010 and 2015, the minorities voted en bloc in favor of Mahinda Rajapaksa's principal rivals, how crucial is the minority factor to the 2019 election in Sri Lanka?
As you've seen in 2015 and 2010, the minority votes were indeed very important for a presidential election. And it has been the same always in all elections, even the general elections and the local government polls as well. So this time around, I don't think there'll be any difference with that. I think the minority votes will come into play because it will be very important for all candidates to ensure that they get the most possible votes in the election that is taking place.
Right, Zulfiq, last but not the least, needless to say that India is keeping a close watch on the developments in the island nation. What could a Rajapaksa victory mean for India?
Well, it's right now it's very hard to say what it could pose because we've seen the Rajapaksa regime in power for almost 10 years before Mahinda Rajapaksa was defeated by Maithripala Sirisena at the 2015 presidential election. So as you mentioned, India is keeping a close watch, and also the other countries are also keeping a close watch on the Sri Lankan presidential election because especially there are a lot of development projects taking place in Sri Lanka funded by India, and then we have China and other donor countries as well. So with these projects also in play, it will be really interesting as to what kind of move these countries would make in a possible event, either whoever wins the presidential election that is taking place right now.
Absolutely. A lot lies at stake for the foreign countries, be it India, China, and of course the latest participant in Sri Lanka being Australia. We'll keep coming back to you, Zulfiq. Thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast and bringing us all those live updates on Sri Lanka for now.